Moving right along, Francesco Di Ferrari has this week taken the reins at AMP, a potentially dubious honour given that the company has been pulverised this year as the Royal Commission found a litany of problems.
How much impact can one leader have during such a turbulent time? I guess the question on everyone's lips. What's a reasonable expectation for change too?
Joining us tonight for Taking Stock is Michael McCarthy, Chief Strategist at CMC Markets, and Greg Baxter, Partner at Newgate Communications. Guys, thank you very much for being with us in the studio, first of all. But yeah, this top job at AMP, I mean, when he accepted, presumably things weren't looking quite as dire as they are now. What do you think, Francesco Ferrari taking the reins?
Well, in the words of Sir Humphrey Appleby, a very courageous move, I would suggest. And it's
like the booby prize of banking, right?
Yeah. Well, it's a potential career maker. I mean, if he makes a success of this, his career's set. And the risks are reasonably low. I think a lot of people would acknowledge AMP was close to a basket case at the moment. So it's probably a smart move on his part.
Yeah.
And Andrew Mole, one of the previous CEOs, resurrected AMP from pretty dire conditions a long time ago, admittedly. This is a huge job, but I think the operational job and the strategic job probably isn't as big as the reputational job. I think that's the big challenge for this guy.
When he was asked how to restore trust at AMP, I saw he said, and this is a quote, "Trust comes from the clarity of the value proposition and to be consistently able to hold that value." And I thought, what is he talking about?
Practicing that for weeks.
If he wants to, I just think if
it doesn't get better with practice.
I just think restore trust. Just talk normal language. I mean, it's kind of there's still no cut through. Like this is the worst it looks like it can get, and they're still saying sentences like that.
I had exactly the same reaction when I read that. Yeah, absolutely. And I just thought, whoa.
I just think it looks like there's a long way to go if they're still kind of using those sentences and we haven't learned anything about them.
He did go on to sort of clarify, I think, what he meant by it, but that language is troubling in a situation where...
You're a communications specialist.
Well, the answer is always simple. The answer is always simple. And in this case, I think it is very simple. You know, you've got to reset expectations. You've got to start... Don't show me. Don't tell me, show me.
Show me.
Right? And those cliches about, you know, under-promising and over-delivering, all of those things are really important. And you start by resetting the culture internally, resetting expectations internally, and that means probably getting rid of a bunch of people, particularly senior people. Promoting people who are doing the right thing, have already been doing the right thing, of which I'm sure there are many people in AMP who have been doing the right thing. Changing the way you pay people. Obviously a new strategy, which was, you know, the question around vertical integration or not. But to me, it's actually not going to be around so much around competence and performance. It's going to be around all of those other skills around authenticity and credibility and integrity and fairness.
I think the one word we haven't heard from anyone senior at AMP yet, and which is desperately needed, is transparency. There's no commitment here to opening up the doors and letting everybody see what's going on at AMP, because I think in terms of rebuilding trust, that's what they must do. They really need to open up. The new Di Ferrari has talked about managing the conflicts. Well, if you're doing that internally and nobody can see you doing it, I don't think you're solving AMP's problems.
It's really interesting to have you both on because, as we said before, Greg, communications expert, and Michael, you know, market strategist. We talk to you a lot during the day here at Your Money. So this problem of straddling both customers and shareholders has been one interesting one for the whole sector in the financial space to be grappling with. What do you think he needs to be conveying to shareholders at the moment?
Well, given my bias against Greg's, I think the operational piece is the key, because the structure here is inherently conflicted. You are in the advice business and you're manufacturing the products you're giving advice on. Now, it's pretty clear from what's come out at the Royal Commission that the commission structure within AMP was wildly skewed towards their own products. And I haven't heard much about changing that. That is the heart of the problem here. And you know, in talking about value, the value proposition here is giving independent advice and producing good products. I think those two things need to be separated. It's inevitable.
Yeah, it's hard. Although, I mean, I think about them more in terms of the superannuation business and the asset management business, right? And I think that they need to be able to demonstrate to an individual with retirement on their mind in particular that their super is being well managed. They're not being ripped off with all sorts of fees and charges or being charged for services they're not getting. You know, I think you could actually start there and fix some of those things pretty quickly and try and restore some trust in that business, which I think has always been considered a core business for AMP. The asset management piece is obviously important because that also feeds returns into people's super funds. I mean, I'd be thinking about getting those things right. And as I said, do the work and then show me the outcome.
Well, Di Ferrari's got a big job ahead. He'll probably be working right through Christmas. Probably not on Christmas Day, Boxing Day, though, I'm suggesting. Lucky him, because Woolies is saying it's asking permission to have staff work on Christmas Day this year in New South Wales, because basically they want about 5 hours out of their workers to stack the shelves for Boxing Day. And, of course, that's put them right up against the unions, who say absolutely not. Christmas Day is sacred. Thoughts, Michael McCarthy?
Yeah, well, I think they
they
get this week's Ken Henry Award for tone deafness. Seriously, what a time to be taking on.
We should do a segment, the tone deaf award.
Yeah, that's right. That'd be good. I think
It'd be a long show.
Yeah, how long we got?
I mean, really, for 5 hours work, and they've said we won't compel people, and you know,
just doesn't work like that. If anyone's worked inside a big company like that, it doesn't.
Exactly.
You're always compelled in some way, right?
Especially when you're on, $20 an hour.
Yeah, exactly.
You do what you're rostered to do. So, look, it's a terrible time to bring it up, and I think that a lot of people jump to the conclusion that this is a thin end of the wedge attempt. The problem is, Woolies aren't the first
Give way
to
to that, there'll be nothing sacred, basically, right?
Exactly. So there'll be big kickback against it.
I agree. And they're asking the wrong people. They're asking the state government for permission. They should be asking the staff.
No, they say the staff, they really want to work that and get that extra
the extra
loading.
loading and all that sort of stuff they say.
Some of those people might want extra loading, but
I still reminisce about when we didn't have Sunday trading. You know, you used to ride your bike around the car park at the local shop.
I just don't know what's...
Like, I still think...
What's lost by not being open on Boxing Day at all?
I just think we shouldn't be open Boxing Day. I don't think we should be open Sundays. Like, there's a whole new brave online world out there. Why do we need to have physical shops open on a Sunday even? That's my view.
Well, fair point, but okay, what about...
some people like the loading, that's the argument.
Until you get caught without milk to put on your muesli and then...
Buy ahead,
well,
people.
that's true, Michael, but this whole
some
idea
people do like the loading in fairness, and, people have different work patterns, I get it.
Well, this is kind of the question, because not all public holidays are equal, right? I think Christmas is right up the top. I mean, maybe this is just me, but you want to be with your family on Christmas morning, whereas, Queen's birthday, you might cop a bit less when it comes to loading,
I'm happy to pack on Queen's birthday, you reckon?
Yeah, well, if it was Christmas morning, I would want a pretty serious hourly rate to be coming in and stacking shelves, on my Christmas morning. Do you reckon we could bring in some sort of...
shelf stacker.
I was a shelf stacker.
This is a material question for us. I mean, Japan's open on Christmas Day. We have staff in the office on Christmas Day.
Oh, do you?
So, the wall's been broken. There's a hole in the dike.
Well, I think Michael Daly's again tapped into sentiment here. I think he's got it right. I mean, it is a day, even if you do not celebrate Christmas, it is in this country a day that most people spend with their families and friends, and I agree that it should be sacrosanct.
Okay, so don't touch it. Let's see how that one goes, because there's an application at this stage. Now, there was another story that caught our eye today.
Yeah, this is a really interesting one, because speaking of don't touch it and sacrosanct, so bringing home the bacon is an old term when you refer to earning a wage and things like that. So it's among a bunch of common phrases that vegans are said to be unhappy with. They want us to change our vernacular from things like killing two birds with one stone, that's no good. We were talking a little bit about bloodbath, whether or not that's still appropriate, Michael, but still, bringing home the bacon. What do we think? I mean, this is another opportunity to pile on the vegans. Greg, thoughts?
Well, I'll be careful. Because there's an elephant in the room here. So if we're talking cruelty to animals, we need to be talking about, why stop there? Go for demeaning and bullying criticism. The elephant in the room, of course, would A, be very uncomfortable, and B, would be demeaned because no one's actually paying him any attention. So I think it'd be very easy to be as mad as a cut snake about this, in which case you'd get criticism and cruelty in the same breath. And then what about the holy cow? I mean, what happens there?
True.
Oh my gosh.
As a market participant, I'm worried. I mean, do I have to stop calling poorly performing stocks dogs?
Oh, geez. Yes, you do.
And do you think
that is offensive, actually?
Well, pigs might fly, Michael.
Do you think Dead Cat Bounce is out of order here?
I feel like this is just dad jokes almost going on there, right?
This is one-upmanship. I love it.
Dad jokes are pretty much banned. I've just worked out.
Yeah, exactly.
It's true.
He turned up in the Camry. It's okay.
But you're not borrowing it.
It's interesting. We do kind of talk about this because it feels like the people who get mad at the PC brigade, the PC police, seem to be shouting so much louder than the initial suggestions from those people anyway. You know what I mean?
Like do vegans actually
That's right. That's exactly it, because this was a little suggestion in the conversation today that somebody said, look, I'm not actually that chuffed with this. And then all of a sudden the backlash is so much louder.
It's gone global. You can see it on international websites now.
Of course. It was the same with when Bunnings said that we want the onions on the snag to be underneath. Everybody just went absolutely troppo. International news. You just sort of think, are we just kind of really keen to pile on?
No, I just think we've completely lost perspective on almost everything. I mean, there are so many other things we should be really worried about.
But this is an easy one, right? You just kind of go, you idiot.
Yeah.
But it's a form of modern utopianism. You know, we can fix everything and the world can be a kind and gentle place.
Oh, yeah.
Lovely thought. Be great if we could. The reality is we never will. And Greg's right, priorities are well askew here. I must admit, when I first heard this, I checked to see if it was a spoof. It is just so perfect for the pile-on day.
Is it April
looked like
Fool's
satire
Day?
to me.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it?
It does.
We were laughing because, of course, the joke is, how do you know someone's a vegan? Well, they'll tell you, right? So I've just seen all the vegan jokes pop up.
Exactly.
It is one of those things. But the PC Brigade has enjoyed that one. We've enjoyed having you guys. Thank you very much, Greg Baxter and Michael McCarthy. Hope to have you again as well. Thank you.